The orderly room shows signs of life. Himmelstas seems to have stirred them up. At the head of the column trots the fat sergeant major. It is queer that almost all the regular sergeant majors are fat. Himmelstas follows him, thirsting for revenge. His boots gleam in the sun. We get up. Where's Tjaden? The sergeant puffs. No one knows, of course. Himmelstas glowers at us wrathfully. You know very well. You won't say it. That's the fact of the matter. Out with it. Fatty looks around inquiringly, but Tjaden is not to be seen. He tries another way. Tjaden will report to the orderly room in 10 minutes. Then he steams off with Himmelstas in his wake. I have a feeling that next time we go up wiring, I'll be letting a bundle of wire fall on Himmelstas's leg. Hints Crop. We'll have quite a lot of jokes with him, laughs Muller. That is our sole ambition, to knock the conceit out of a postman. I go into the hut and put Tjaden wise. He disappears. Then we change our posse and lie down again to play cards. We know how to do that, to play cards, to swear, and to fight. Not much for 20 years, and yet too much for 20 years. Half an hour later, Himmelstas is back again. Nobody pays any attention to him. He asks for Tjaden. We shrug our shoulders. Then you'd better go find him, he persists. Haven't you been told to look for him? Crop lies back on the grass and says, have you ever been out here before? That's none of your business, retorts Himmelstas. I expect an answer. Very good, says Crop, getting up. See there, where those little white clouds are? Those are anti-aircraft. We were over there yesterday. 5 dead and 8 wounded. That's a mere nothing. Next time when you go up with us, before they die, the fellows will come up to you, click their heels, and ask stiffly, please may I go? Please may I hop it? We've been waiting here so long for someone like you. He sits down again, and Himmelstas disappears like a comet. 3 days, CB, conjectures Cat. Next time I'll let fly, I say to Albert. But that is the end. The case comes up for trial in the evening. In the orderly room sits our Lieutenant Burtnick and calls us in one after another. I have to appear as a witness and explain the reason of Tjaden's insubordination. The story of the bedwetting makes an impression. Himmelstas is recalled, and I repeat my statement. Is that right, Burtnick? Bertink asks Himmelstas. He tries to evade the question, but in the end has to confess, for Cropsell tells the same story. Why didn't someone report the matter then? Asks Bertink. We are silent. He must know himself how much use it is in reporting such things. It isn't usual to make complaints in the army. He understands it all right, though, and lectures Himmelstas, making it plain to him that the front isn't a parade ground. Then comes Tjaden's turn. He gives a long sermon and 3 days open arrest. Bertink gives Crop a wink and 1 day's open arrest. It can't be helped, he says to him regretfully. He is a decent fellow. Open arrest is quite pleasant. The Clink was once a fowl house. There we can visit the prisoners. We know how to manage it. Close arrest would have meant the cellar. They used to tie us to a tree, but that is forbidden now. In many ways, we were treated quite like men. An hour later, after Tjaden and Crop are settled in behind the wire netting, we make our way to them. Tjaden greets us crowing. Then we play scat far into the night. Tjaden wins, of course, the lucky wretch. Then we break it up, and Cat says to me, what do you say we go roast some goose? Not bad, I agreed. We climb up on a munition wagon. The ride costs us 2 cigarettes. Cat had marked the spot exactly. The shed belongs to a regimental headquarters. I agree to get the goose and receive my instructions. The outhouse is behind the wall, and the door shuts with just a peg. Cat hoists me up. I rest my foot in his hands and climb over the wall. Cat keeps watch below. I wait a few moments to accustom my eyes to the darkness. Then I recognize the shed. Softly, I steal across, lift the peg, pull it out, and open the door. I distinguish 2 white patches. 2 geese. That's bad. If I grab one, the other will cackle. Well, both of them. If I'm quick, it can be done. I make a jump. I catch hold of one, and in the next instant, the second. Like a madman, I bash their heads against the wall to stun them. But I haven't quite enough weight. The beasts cackle and strike out with their feet and wings. I fight desperately, but Lord, what a kick a goose has. They struggle, and I stagger about. In the dark, these white patches are terrifying. My arms have grown wings, and I am almost afraid of going up into the sky, as though I held a couple of captive balloons in my fist. Then the row begins. One of them gets his breath and goes off like an alarm clock. Before I can do anything, something comes in from outside. I feel a blow, lie outstretched on the floor, and hear awful growls. A dog. I steal a glance to the side. He makes a snap at my throat. I lie still and tuck my chin into my collar. It's a bulldog. After an eternity, he withdraws his head and sits down beside me. But if I make the least movement, he growls. I consider. The only thing to do is get hold of my small revolver, and that too before someone arrives. Inch by inch, I move my hand toward it. I have a feeling like that it lasts an hour. The slightest movement, and then that awful growl. I lie still, and then try again. When at last I have the revolver in my hand starts to tremble, I press it against the ground and say over to myself, jerk the revolver up and fire before he has a chance to grab, then jump up. Slowly, I take a deep breath and become calmer. Then I hold my breath, whip up the revolver, it cracks, the dog leaps howling to one side. I make for the door of the shed and fall head over heels over one of the scuttering geese. At full speed, I seize it again and with a swing toss it over the wall and clamber up. No sooner am I on top than the dog is up again as lively as ever and springs at me. Quickly, I let myself drop. 10 paces away stands Cat with a goose under his arm. As soon as he sees me, we run. At last, we can take a breather. The goose is dead. Cat saw to that in a moment. We intend to roast it at once so that nobody will be any wiser. I fetch a Dixie and wood from the hut, and we crawl into a small deserted lean-to which we use for such purposes. The single window space is heavily curtained. There's a sort of hearth, an iron plate set on some bricks. We kindle a fire. Cat plucks and cleans the goose. We put the feathers carefully to one side. We intend to make 2 cushions out of them with the inscription, "Sleep soft under shell fire." The sound of the gunfire from the front penetrates into our refuge. The glow of the fire lights up into our faces. Shadows dance on the wall. Sometimes a heavy crash and the lean-to shivers. Aeroplane bombs. Once we hear a stifled cry. A hut must have been hit. Aeroplanes drone. The tack-tack of machine guns break out. But no light that could be observed shows from us. We sit opposite one another, Cat and I, 2 soldiers in shabby coats, cooking goose in the middle of the night. We don't talk much, but I believe we have a more complete communion with one another than even lovers have. We are 2 men, 2 minute sparks of life. Outside is the night and the circle of death. We sit on the edge of it, crouching in danger. The grease drips from our hands. In our hearts, we are close to one another, and the hour is like the room, flecked over with the light and shadows of our feelings cast by a quiet fire. What does he know of me or I of him? Formerly, we should not have had a single thought in common. Now we sit with a goose between us and feel in unison, are so intimate that we don't even speak. It takes a long time to roast a goose, even when it is young and fat, so we take turns. One bastes it while the other lies down and sleeps. A grand smell gradually fills the hut. The noises, without increase in volume, pass into my dream and yet linger in my memory. In a half sleep, I watch Cat drip and raise the ladle. I love him, his shoulders, his angular stooping figure. At the same time, I see behind him woods and stars, and a clear voice utters words that bring me peace to me. A soldier in big boots, belt, a knapsack, taking the road that lies before him under the high heaven, quickly forgetting and seldom sorrowful, forever pressing on under the wide night sky. A little soldier in a clear voice. If anyone were to caress him, he would hardly understand. This soldier with the big boots and the shut heart, who marches because he is wearing big boots and has forgotten all else but marching. Beyond the skyline is a country with flowers, lying so still that he would like to weep. There are sights there that he has not forgotten because he never possessed them, perplexing yet lost to him. Are not his 20 summers there? Is my face wet? And where am I? Cat stands before me. His gigantic, stooping shadow falls upon me like home. He speaks gently. He smiles and goes back to the fire. Then he says, "It's done." "Yes, Cat." I stir myself. In the middle of the room shines the brown goose. We take out our collapsible forks and our pocket knives, and each cuts off a leg. With it, we have army bread dipped in gravy. We eat slowly, with gusto. "How does it taste, Cat?" "Good. And yours?" "Good, Cat." We are brothers and press on one another the choicest pieces. Afterwards, I smoke a cigarette and Cat a cigar. There's still a lot left. "How would it be, Cat, if we took a little bit to Crop and Tiaden?" "Sure," he says. We carve off a portion and wrap it up carefully in newspaper. The rest we thought of taking over to the hut. Cat laughs and simply says, "Tiaden." I agree, we'll have to take it all. So we go off to the fowl house to waken them. But first we pack away the feathers. Crop and Tiaden take us for magicians. When they get busy with their teeth, Then they get busy with their teeth. Tiaden holds a wing in his mouth and with both hands like a mouth organ and gnaws. He drinks the gravy from the pot and smacks his lips. "May I never forget you." We go to our hut. Again, there is a lofty sky with the stars and the oncoming dawn, and I pass beneath it, a soldier with big boots and a full belly, a little soldier in the early morning, but by my side, stooping and angular, goes Cat, my comrade. The outlines of the huts are upon us, like in the dawn, like the dark, deep sleep.